in the Works, Volume 5, correspondence 1786 to 1789, Thomas Jefferson, on the subject of keeping a government in check, says that if he has to choose between, quote, a government without newspapers or newspapers without government, he will choose newspapers without a government. And I guess if we think about that today, and we were asked to choose between Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, or Scott Morrison and the Liberal Party, I know what we'd be choosing. The Jefferson Doctrine, from the man himself, and not so much his presidency, states that the government will resemble wolves unless knowledgeable citizenry checks its activity. People who love President Jefferson want full information about public affairs through the channel of public papers, which will influence all people. This is exactly in line with President Jefferson's thinking. If only people think more about our need for freedom of the press and what is happening to Julian Assange, we may get some more action on Julian's case. I want to take a Jefferson quote and reuse the words to talk about the Julian Assange issue. Thomas Jefferson's response to the passage of the legislation of the Missouri Compromise, including Missouri as a slave state in 1820, in exchange for prohibiting slavery in the remaining Louisiana purchase lands, has some amazing wording. Ex-President Jefferson says of the Missouri legislation, quote, "But this momentous question, like a fire bell in the night, awakens me and fills me with terror. I consider it the death knell of the Union." The historian Kenneth Davis says the issue is a bonfire, and now the fire bell is ringing. I want to put those historical words into the context of the abuse of free speech and freedom of press, which we see in the Julian Assange case. In terms of our democracy, rule of law, and general freedoms, let me say this: the US and British using ongoing torture and lawfare against Julian's legal rights and his personal liberty is, quote, like a fire bell ringing in the night. It awakens me and fills me with terror. Now this issue is a bonfire, and now the fire bell is ringing out. Thomas Jefferson is not the only person to think this way. Abraham Lincoln is another champion of freedom. This is from Mr. Lincoln's anti-slavery push. Mr. Lincoln is very upset with residents of Alton, Illinois, for twice throwing Reverend Elijah B. Lovejoy's printing presses into the river and shooting Reverend Lovejoy for defending a third printing press. While the issue is different today, the fundamental idea of free speech is still the same. What right do they have to throw Julian Assange's printing press in the river? The Western world governments are going down the same road as China, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Vietnam, Russia, and many others in terms of jailing journalists. Thank you.